It is time for testing training, and the topic of this video is how to select the best automated testing tool for you. I have noticed many a time that people, when they select the particular automated testing tool, do not do the required analysis to select the best tool. Maybe they just base their decision on what their friend is using in another organization or the suggestion made by a colleague in their organization. That is not the best approach, obviously. So the best approach is to use a selection process that is completely tailored towards your requirements. Now, what happens when you do not do a logical evaluation of the best automated testing tool for you? Well, it can result in the selection of a wrong tool or a suboptimal tool. By a wrong tool, it means that the tool is not at all suited to your particular requirements. And by a suboptimal tool, I mean that the tool is not able to fulfill each and every one of your requirements, or it is able to fulfill the requirements but not fully. The same thing can happen when there is a partial evaluation, when only a couple of tools have been looked at and one of them is selected. And the same thing can happen with an incorrect evaluation. Now, if you select a wrong automated testing tool or a suboptimal testing tool, that leads to many different kinds of losses. First of all, it is the loss of the licensing fees. If you are selected a commercial tool, there is a licensing cost associated with getting the license for using that tool. So if it is the wrong tool or the suboptimal tool for your specific requirements, that means that later on you may have to invest again in the best tool for your requirements. So the licensing cost would be a wasted financial cost. The next problem is that there can be the loss of effort spent, because there is a switching cost associated with working with first one tool and then working with another tool, because not everything can be exported from one tool to another. So if you were working with tool 1 earlier and you developed certain automated tests using that tool, and later on you switch to another tool, then you will have to convert your existing test automation into the format of the new tool, which will require additional effort. And then a wrong or suboptimal tool can lead to loss of automation opportunities. Maybe the tool is not able to automate few operations or few validations that need to be automated. So that is why the selection process, a logical selection process, is important, so that you can select the best possible automated testing tool for your specific requirements. I have used many different tools by evaluating them for my specific requirements, and I have come up with an approach which I think is balanced in terms of effort and results. So here is that approach. But before you look at the approach, you have to identify what are your specific requirements. The primary requirement of the automated testing tool is compatibility with the application under test. So if you are going to test a web-based application, so the tool has to be compatible with that, meaning that it should be able to recognize the objects on a web page, be able to recognize the operations that the user can do on the web page, like clicking on different buttons, examining the text of different HTML elements, or drag and drop operations, or whatever operations the user does with your application. If it is a Windows based application, then the tool has to be compatible with the kind of controls you get on in the Windows based application. Compatibility with the application under test is the primary requirement. So that is the most important thing. Next is the ease of use. If The automated testing and the test automation will be performed by business people or people with limited technical skills. Then a very easy to use tool is important so that they can just get on with the task of building the test automation. If the tool is going to be used by people with programming background, then you can go in for a tool which has the descriptive programming or scripting capability. Another requirement can be the available documentation, because when we create the test automation, many a time we get stuck at a particular point. We want to know how to achieve a particular task in the test automation by writing the code or by performing the required steps. So documentation is very important. Some tools are better documented than others, so that can be another requirement that you have to keep in mind. If it is a commercial tool, then you can also look at the level of customer support available for you in case you come across a problem, or if your automated test gives an error or is not working as expected, then there is customer support available whom you can explain the problem and they can provide you the solution. License cost can be a major requirement for many organizations. Many organizations have a limited budget, so if your budget is really limited, you may want to only look at the open source tools available, or whatever licensing cost you can bear. Just make sure that you evaluate the tools according to your budget. We'll go through the detailed possible requirements of automated testing tools in the example in this video also. But first, let us look at the process. So what is the logical process to select the best automated testing tool for your requirement? First of all, it is defining your requirements. So I have given a few examples earlier of what your requirements can be. So the primary requirement is obviously compatibility with the application you are going to test. It can be ease of use, it can be licensing cost, and other requirements that are possible that we will see in the example. The second step in the process is to shortlist the available tools. You can look at various websites. There is a popular website called www.sqaforums.com, and it has discussion threads on many tools, and you can just get an idea of what tool you can look at. There are also lists available of different tools. I'll show you a list also. So out of that list or out of the discussions, you can just come up with a few shortlisted tools for your specific requirements. Now, do not select too few tools or too many tools in your shortlist. So a good shortlist is somewhere between 2 and 3 to 5 and 6 tools that you can further analyze. Now the next step is to create a scorecard, and this we look into detail in our example. But what the scorecard really is, that it has your specific requirements and on one axis, and on the other axis there is the shortlisted tools. And what you do is you analyze each tool with respect to your requirements and assign it a number. Now once you assign the number, then you can arrive at different analysis, such as the total of the suitability of the tool for your specific requirements. And then you will come to know for your specific requirements which is the best tool. So you can select either the best tool or the best couple of tools and to actually try them out. So how you can try them out is, if it is a commercial tool, most of the commercial tools have trial versions or evaluation versions available which you can download, and you can take some specific requirements from your application and try to automate the testing of those requirements against your application by using the evaluation copy of the tool. When you practically try out the automation, that is when you really come to know how compatible the tool is with your application, how easy or difficult it is to use, and what is the level of documentation available, what is the level of customer support available, etc. So you will come to know these things in a practical manner. Once your evaluation is complete, then you will have a very good idea of what is the best tool for your specific requirements. So the last step in the process is to present the result of this selection process to the entire team, so that you can answer their questions, you can show them the demo, and you can also take additional inputs from them. Now let me show you from where you can get the list of all the automated testing tools. If you go to the Wikipedia list of testing tools, this is just a list of the GUI testing tools. So here you can see these are the open source GUI testing tools. In case you are interested in those, you can select few tools from this list, or you can look at the list of the proprietary GUI testing tools, and there is a longer list of all these tools, including popular tools like HP Quick Test Professional, IBM Rational Functional Tester, etc. Test Complete. And also there is another list of notable test automation tools. So there is plenty of the popular tools mentioned in the list, and you can extract from this list, or you can go to sqaforums.com and look at the different sections over there and select from those. Now let us see this process in action. So let us go to the scorecard. Now here we have the requirements. So the requirements are given in a column. So on the y-axis we have all these requirements, and these are the different possible requirements that you may have. You may add or delete or modify this list according to your specific situation. First is the compatibility with the application under test. Tools have a feature of object recognition. What this means is that depending on the object that is present in the application in which you are interested, maybe it is a button that needs to be clicked, or it is a grid, one of whose cell you need to read, or there is some control that you have to drag and drop. Whatever object it is within the application, the tool should be able to recognize that object and show its properties and methods, that means the available operations, to you. The second is the operation recognition. This means the user operation, whether the user is clicking or the user is double clicking that particular object, or the user drags and drops that particular object, or if it is a text box, the user does the type operation on that object. The tool should be able to recognize the operation performed by the user. And then there is the object management. The tool creates a repository of the objects, or you are supposed to build the object repository yourself. So whatever it is, you have to identify the compatibility with the application under test, because if the tool is totally incompatible with your application, then you will not be able to use it at all. So this is the primary requirement. Your second possible requirement can be the platforms it supports and tests. So there is a tool like Selenium IDE, which is an open source tool. But the problem with Selenium IDE is that it works only with web applications, first of all. And in web applications, it just works with the Firefox browser. So if your users use Firefox browser also and Internet Explorer also, obviously you cannot use Selenium IDE. So maybe you have to look at evaluating Selenium WebDriver, which is another open source tool from the same family of tools, and that supports testing in Firefox browser, Internet Explorer, Chrome browser, Opera, Safari, etc. Your next possible requirement can be the ease of use. So this depends on the technical skill level of the people who are going to build the test automation. If they come from a business background, then ease of use becomes very important. They may not have a programming background. So features of the tools like record and playback or keyword driven testing, data driven testing becomes important. If the test automators come with a programming background, then ease of use may not be such an important requirement, because they would be able to create scripts and programs to build the test automation. One possible requirement is the popularity of the tool. So obviously tools that are more popular have more material on them on the web. For example, Selenium WebDriver is a very popular tool, and it is having a lot of documentation, and a lot of people use it and they post their experiences with the tool. Popularity also means that whatever common problems are there, you are likely to find their solutions on the web also. If it is not a popular tool, then you are basically restricted to whatever material and documentation is available on the vendor website. So that is another requirement to consider. Documentation, training and resources can be another possible requirement. If there is no prior experience in the team with that particular tool, then documentation becomes very important. If the team is totally new, then training becomes important, the available training. And also you have to take a long-term view, because once you create the test automation will be with you for some time. So what is the available people who can create the test automation and maintain the test automation? So if it is not a very popular tool, then you may have hard time getting the people to create and enhance and maintain the existing test automation. The other possible requirement is support. Open source tools typically do not have support available, but commercial tools do. So different vendors have different levels of support available. Some vendors have customer support which is better than the others. You can consider that if you're going in for a commercial tool. Then there is the question of the license cost. This can be a very important requirement. If you have limited or no budget to acquire your automated testing tool, then you can go in for open source free tool. Or if you have a limited budget, then you have to explore the licensing cost for your requirements ahead of time before you can select the tool. There are some other minor requirements that are possible. First is the system requirements. Every tool requires a particular minimum system configuration for the tool to install and for you to create the tests and execute the tests. So you have to make sure that whatever existing standard test beds you have available are above or at least at the same level of the tool's system requirements. Some tools come with an integrated development environment, which makes it faster to create and maintain the test automation. The integrated development environment has a lot of shortcut features available, and one can use that to quickly create the test automation. They also come with debugging features, and they can also integrate to the version control software, because test automation is just like another work product, like the software code, and it is best placed within a version control software so that you don't accidentally lose any changes that you have made. And some tools also integrate with the test management system. Some tools directly integrate with the test management system, and in other tools you have to build a bridge between the test automation suite and the test management system yourself. You also have to look the capability of test management and reporting. Reporting can be a major requirement in certain situations. If you have the management or the client which needs reports detailed reports or reports in a particular format. So it can be a requirement in your particular situation. And there can be other features like other kinds of testing supported apart from automated testing. Does it support manual tests within the test suite, or does it support load testing, or does it support usability testing or not? Depending on your situation, you can either use this exact set of requirements, or you may want to add certain requirements of your own, or remove certain requirements, or change some of the requirements according to your specific situation. Now here what we can do is, let us say that we have listed down the requirements. So what we have to do next is prepare the x-axis. So in x-axis we put the first column of the weightage. Now each and every requirement is not having the same weightage or not the same benefit for you. So you can give the weightage as a percentage. What this means is that you divide up 100 according to the importance of that particular requirement. Now here I have just given some sample weightages. Now here, as you can see, the biggest weightage I have given to compatibility with the application under test and license cost. So these are the most important requirements in this particular example, and the rest you can give according to your specific situation. Just make sure, because it is a percentage importance, the total of all these weights should come to 100. Now from the list of the available tools, so we can select few tools, minimum 2 to a maximum of 5 or 6, because otherwise it becomes a very lengthy analysis and will burn up a lot of time. Now you can look at tool 1. There are two ways to get all this information. What is the compatibility with your application under test? How you can arrive at this number is to look at the tool's website and look at the information in the website and come up with a number, and then this number can be between 1 and 10. 1 means it is the lowest and 10 means it is the highest. So if the tool is totally compatible with the application under test, which means it has the best features for object recognition, operation recognition and object management, you can give it a 10. In tool 2, in this example I have given 2, which means it is very less compatible with the application under test, and tool 3 is somewhere between tool 1 and tool 2. You can get the numbers to put here after analyzing the material available on the tool website, or you can go to the different software testing forums where you can get some background information about the tools. Next is the platforms supported and tested. So depending on your testing requirements, what are the platforms it supports and tests. So you see none of these tools is perfect, but they support most of the platforms. So I have just given 8 to each one of these tools. Next is the ease of use. So ease of use, tool 1 is the most user friendly, and tool 2 is the least user friendly, and tool 3 is somewhere in between. In popularity, we can see that tool 3 is the most popular, then tool 1 and tool 2 is the least popular. Then similar numbers are analyzed and given to each one of these cells for each and every requirement for each and every tool. So once we have all these numbers available based on the data from the tools website and the software testing forums information, then we can do our calculation. Now the calculation is you multiply the weightage to the number for the tool's suitability for that particular requirement. So here I multiply 25 with 10 and then add it to 10 multiplied by 8. So basically it is 25 into 10 plus 10 into 8 plus 8 into 7 plus 5 into 5, and you can see the formula over here. So it is B2 into C2, which means the weightage is multiplied to the rating given for that particular tool, and you add up all these products. So here for tool 1 we can see we arrive at a total of 754. We do the same thing for tool 2 also. In tool 2 what we do is we multiply the exact same weightage for that requirement with the tool rating. So 25 into 2 plus 10 into 8 plus 8 into 2 and so on, and you add up all these products and you will get 449. And same thing I have done for tool 3 also. So for tool 3, 25 into 8 plus 10 into 8 plus 8 into 5, and you add up all these products and we get this particular total score. So as you can see from this scorecard, so here in this scorecard a higher number means a better suitability towards your requirements. So we can see that based on our analysis of the available data for that tool, it is tool 1 which is the best suitable tool for your requirements. So now you can go to the next step in the process, which is to take the best tool or the best two tools. So here in this case we can take tool 1 and tool 3 because they have the highest scores, and we can move on to the next step in the process. So the next step in the process is to try out the best tool or the best couple of tools. So what this means is that you download the tool, whether if it is an open source tool you can get the full tool as it is. If it is a commercial tool, then you can download the evaluation copy of the tool and take some representative requirements, nothing very simple or nothing very complex. Just take some representative requirements for your application and try to automate those tests using these two tools. So once you have done the logical analysis using the scorecard and you have done the practical evaluation of the tool by evaluating the tool running with your application under test with real requirements, then you have a very good idea of what is the best tool for your specific requirements. So you can present that selection to the team by showing them the demo, by answering their questions and taking their inputs, etc. And that is how you arrive at the best automated testing tool for your requirements. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and this is the approach that I found is very balanced in terms of the result it gives for less effort. So please feel free to use this approach whenever you have to select the best possible automated testing tool for your requirements. Thank you and see you in the next video.